Subscribe to Bizbo and press the bell icon. See boring news turn into enjoyable stories. In the 1903 invented board game Monopoly, a player must buy all the 4 railway stations to maximize his profits. Over 100 years later, Gautam Adani is playing by the same rules, collecting airport after airport, especially the prized Mumbai airport, with an ambition to be India's largest private airport operator. For the moment though, he remains behind GMR, who handle the largest number of passengers via their Delhi and Hyderabad terminals. Adani's timing to acquire Mumbai airport, however, was perfect when due to COVID, passenger traffic had contracted by more than half. He saw an opportunity in this adversity and placed his foot firmly in the door. When he saw that GVK Reddy, the Secunderabad headquartered group running the Mumbai airport, were having problems servicing their debts. After having pledged half of their 50.5% stake in Mumbai International Airport Limited MIAL to 3 private banks for 2,150 crore. GVK's financial problems were not new. Over 3 years back, it had sold its entire 43% stake in Bengaluru Airport to Prem Vatsa's Fairfax Holdings for 3,439 crore. For the same reason, to trim the group's mounting debt, which at one time in 2015 was as much as 26,500 crore. So Advani put his plan into motion by adopting what we call a guerrilla marketing strategy by encircling his rival, offering to buy out both of Mial's minority partners, AXA Global's 10% stake and the South African company Bidvest's 13.5% stake. When Bidvest agreed, GVK stalled the transaction by invoking its right of first refusal. Then, fearing a hostile takeover bid by Adani, GVK instead offered to buy out their combined 23.5% stake for 2,156 crore at approximately the same valuation as Adani's offer. But the problem was, they didn't have the money to make the deal happen. So it sought to raise fresh capital to not only buy out his investors, but also to make sure that debt repayment, which was due shortly, would be honored. In October 2020, GVK managed to get 2 prestigious funds, the Abu Dhabi Investment Authority with previous exposure to running 6 international airports, and Canada's public sector pension investments, to buy 15% of its leftover stake in Mumbai Airport, leaving GVK with just 10.5% as the balance 25% was already pledged to banks. Bidvest, who had earlier been stymied by GVK, this time cited its own right of first refusal to block GVK's sale. The ball ended up landing in the Delhi High Court and subsequently with an arbitration tribunal. With the fundraising process now delayed, time was running out for GVK. As the stalemate wore on, COVID-19 crunched GVK's finances further and pushed it closer to bankruptcy. In case he defaulted, banks could sell the pledged shares to any third party, including to Adani, to recover their dues. Meanwhile, based on an anonymous letter accusing GVK's founders of siphoning off 705 crore from the airport's kitty, CBI filed an FIR and raided GVK's office, accusing them of entering into fake contracts and misusing input tax credits. Then, buckling under pressure from lenders and the prospect of more probes, GVK, according to some, was arm twisted into handing over the prized Mumbai airport to Adani for nothing. And Adani, using an earlier valuation, ended up getting all of GVK's stake without even paying a premium for management control, and got along with it on a platter the rights to build and operate the airport at Navi Mumbai. Even though they did not pay GVK a single rupee for the purchase, they took over its entire debt of at least 12,700 crore. Even investors ASCA and Bidvest that Adani had sought to buy over earlier were forced to sell their minority stake to him against their wishes.
We have the right of first refusal to buy GVK shares, not you.
All this happened so suddenly that GVK's new partners, Abu Dhabi Investment and Canada Pension Fund, were also caught unawares. Banks are believed to have taken a small haircut on the loans they sold to Adani, but the amount could not be ascertained. Despite the Adani group as a whole having a high debt of 1.47 lakh crore, they will borrow up to 500 million more to fund the airport acquisition plan. Meanwhile, the Airports Authority of India will get 1,070 crore upfront, which can be added to the 29,000 crore it earned since earlier privatizations, that led to a phenomenal increase in air traffic and a much needed efficiency in the aviation sector. While Mumbai doubled its traffic, Bengaluru and Hyderabad quadrupled, while Delhi widened its lead. The reason for Mumbai's lagging performance is because their two runways cross each other like an X, which means they cannot be used simultaneously, unlike Delhi's parallel runways, making it less efficient. The 4 airports leased out in Phase 1 and the 6 in Phase 2 form 59% of India's total passenger traffic. An airport's revenue is typically split between aeronautical revenues like landing fees, user development fees, parking and housing, cargo and ground handling, and aircraft refueling, and non-aeronautical revenues like duty-free shops, retail licenses, food and beverages, lounges, advertising, space rentals, car parking, and development rights on land adjacent to the airport, etc. The government's privatization plan for the 6 airports attracted 57 bidders. Adani's aggressive bidding, offering to share the highest revenue per passenger with the airport's authority, led him to bagging all 6 airports. In the belief that in a few years, non-aero spends of 80 rupees per passenger now will increase to 2 to 300, matching today's per passenger spend of Delhi, Mumbai, etc. For the current cycle of privatization, the government changed the old revenue sharing formula by a per passenger fee model. Therefore, Adani will not need to share revenues from sales in duty-free shops, hotels and eateries, etc. that other airports are presently doing. Knight Frank India estimates that India's airport retail market will grow from $1.4 billion to $9.3 billion by 2030. Mumbai and Delhi airports, in fact, garner revenue of 2.4 and 2 times that of the most successful malls in cities. Further, the purchase of Mumbai airport has given Adani the added cushion of 227 acres of prime city land as an added bonus. That Adani's focus would be maximizing non-aeronautical revenue streams was clear from its appointment of Ben Zandi as CEO of its airports division. Flughafen München GmbH, which operates Germany's Munich airport and handles New York's Newark airport's EWR Terminal A, is likely to train, operate and maintain Ahmedabad, Mangaluru and Lucknow airports and bring them up to global standards. Some critics claim it is a mistake to give a single operator 6 airports because of the financial risks involved, and that even airport authorities' own rules of not leasing more than 2 airports to the same bidder were discarded. However, 2 facts stand out. One, that Adani won in a transparent bidding process. And 2, these rules were made at a time when there were hardly 15 to 20 non-IAF airports in the country. Today, there are 107 non-military airports and 30 IAF Navy airports that also have commercial flights. Another fact critics point out is that Adani has no prior experience whatsoever in running airports.
If competition be limited only to operators with prior experience, then that will take us back to a scenario where only 2 Indian entities could bid.
Not 2, but essentially he is correct. In 2006, only 5 to 6 had bid for Delhi and Mumbai airports. This time there was healthy competition among 57. Others point to the fact that airports in Phase 1 were given on 30-year leases, while this time the 6 Adani got are for 50 years, overstretching the limits prescribed by the Airport Authority of India's Act that has a maximum allowable lease of 30 years. However, it must be taken into consideration that the airports privatized in Phase 1 were Tier 1 cities with greater income potential than the current 6. Seeing success, 13 more airports, 6 major and 7 smaller ones will be privatized by early 2022, this time clubbing big and small airports together. Meanwhile, politics tried to rear its head here too, as Adani faced petitions from the Kerala government over the leasing of Thiruvananthapuram airport to him, a matter which its High Court summarily dismissed. The court rejects the government's contention that the centre's decision lacked public interest. Adani Airport Holdings now plans an IPO targeting a valuation of 25 to 29,000 crore, $3.5 to $4 billion. Proceeds of which will be used to fund the approximately 16,000 crore he needs to spend on upgrading Mumbai and the Navi Mumbai airports. In the next 3 to 5 years, our capex in airports will be about 30,000 crore, of which the debt portion should be 20,000 crore. Airports are a capital intensive business. Mumbai Airport earned 1,594 crore the year before COVID, which barely covers interest on a 20,000 crore debt. However, Adani has a longer game plan in mind when Tier 1, 2 and 3 cities start flying. Mumbai will be the hub around which our other airports will operate, supported by real estate, entertainment and e-commerce and logistics. A game plan that would not have been possible without Mumbai, for securing which he may have circumstance and superior powers to thank. Bizbo's Limerick. A plan was made, a trap was set, as GVK Airport was saddled with debt. To get rid of his woe, he gave in to his foe. Now Adani hopes to be the largest, but he isn't there yet. Subscribe to Bizbo and click on the bell icon to get notified whenever Bizbo releases a new video. Sources of all our information is listed in the video description section.